What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my DraftKings Showdown breakdown for Monday Night Football, Ravens and Browns. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Follow me on Twitter, at Josh Engleman, so you can get updates to the sim results as we get closer to lock. Plus, I'll be on Live Before Lock tonight, breaking it all down again with Adam Scher. Finally, let me know in the comments section who are your favorite options at captain and at utility for tonight's slate. Some of the high-level stuff. 116, that's the average fantasy points in the optimal winning lineup. 49,100 is the median salary used. 2.9 Ravens, 3.1 Browns in the optimal lineup. Ravens, 3-point favorites in Cleveland with a 45.5 point game total. I'm excited for it. Let's dive in to the captains. Now, even with this monstrous salary, the Ravens are a unique breed because Lamar Jackson is so unique. He does more as one individual than anybody else, particularly at the quarterback spot. He's $17,700 in the captain spot, and yet he is still the optimal captain 25% of the time. It's hard to find a situation where he isn't the clear best option, but 75% of the time, he's not the optimal captain. I think that you can go to 15K, 13.8% of the time, it's Baker Mayfield. You could save a little bit more salary if you want. Go to 14,100, Jarvis Landry. Shows up in the optimal 11.6% of the time. You'll notice I skipped somebody in the salary tier. Nick Chubb is 15.3. He's $300 more expensive than Baker Mayfield. I don't have a ton of interest there. I think he's only in the optimal about 5% of the time. We'll get to him in fades in a little bit. But right now, Lamar, Baker, Landry, those three guys make up the biggest chunk of potential captains for tonight. And after that, it gets a little murky. You can go to like Marquise Brown, Kareem Hunt, Rashard Higgins, all about 6% of the time. You can drop all the way down if you think this is going to be more of a defensive fare. Go to someone like Justin Tucker or Cody Parkey if you want to get really weird and go to a kicker. You know, it happens a couple percentage points, but not all that frequent. In my opinion, you stick to Lamar, Baker, Landry, maybe take a flyer on one of those like low 5-digit salary guys, the Brown, Hunt, Higgins range. But I think my favorite option right now is Jarvis Landry. Now, as we go to the utility side, things are a bit different. I love Lamar Jackson here, 11,800, shows up in the optimal 54% of the time. That is the clear top mark. He's the clear best option. He's going to be in the optimal like 80% of the time. I'm not telling you guys anything crazy. He's Lamar Jackson. You know what you're getting here. After that, there's only one other guy north of 40%. Surprise, surprise, it's the other quarterback. That's Baker Mayfield. Shows up in the optimal 45% of the time. Then we get into the mix of mid-30s guys. Nick Chubb at the utility spot. Like him a lot more than I do in the captain spot. He's 10-2, shows up about 36% of the time. Landry at 9,400, 34% of the time. Dobbins, Brown, Hunt, all in the mid-ish 30s range. You can go to Tucker or Parkey. I prefer Cody Parkey. I'd rather just have the extra $400. They're both in the optimal lineup about a third of the time. So you're probably going to want to pick between those two guys. You can go to someone like Higgins at 6,200, although he's just a hair back of that 30% range at 29.4. Or just in the middle of all of this, Snead, Edwards, Peoples-Jones, Ravens D, Harrison Bryant, Browns. Nobody really stands out. Except for the Ravens D, 4,400, they show up in the optimal lineup about 22% of the time. I don't get to defenses all that frequently, but I really like that price, and I think that the Ravens D is in a salary tier that's pretty appealing. So I have some interest there. They show up in the optimal about 1 every 4 times, 1 every 5 times, somewhere in that range. Don't sleep on the Ravens defense tonight in the utility spot. Now, we don't have public ownership yet, as is normal every single Monday, but I do want to start Nick Chubb at the captain. That's not a spot that I'm going to be going. I assume he's significantly more owned than where I'm projecting him right now. So if the slate started in the next 5 minutes, it's 8:20 a.m. Eastern time, I would not have Nick Chubb in the captain spot. Don't really have any other obvious fades at captain without the ownership, but as I go over to the utility side, Mark Andrews at 8,800 seems a bit too expensive. I think I'd rather go to J.K. Dobbins. I'd rather pay up a little bit more and go to Jarvis Landry. I assume Andrews ends up slightly over-owned. Similarly, as we work our way down, I don't get the sense that I'm going to have much Willie Snead, Gus Edwards, Peoples-Jones, Harrison Bryant. All these guys show up in the optimal about 10% of the time. I'm assuming they end up being a little bit more owned. If I'm playing 150 lineups, surely I end up with 5 to 10% of these guys. I mean, potentially 0 on someone like Gus Edwards. But if you're playing in like a 3 max or a 20 max, that's just not a spot that I want to put a lot of eggs. You might get to one Willie Snead lineup, you might get to one Donovan Peoples-Jones lineup, but I'm more likely to just be skipping that range of Snead, Edwards, Peoples-Jones, and Harrison Bryant. Don't have a ton of interest in Browns D. I'd rather go to Ravens D. They look fine though. I don't get the sense that their ownership will be crazy. If you're paying all the way down, there's not a lot to like. Like if Ingram or Duvernay or David Njoku pick up too much ownership, just go to someone else in that group that I just named. But these are all 10% type guys. So they're not fades, they're not plays, they're just people that exist if you're trying to fill out 150 lineups. If you're asking who I like the most, it's Duvernay. If he gets a ton of ownership, I think the pivot to $1,000 David Njoku with Austin Hooper out is kind of appealing. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my DraftKings Showdown plays for Browns and Ravens. It's Monday Night Football, and it's good to be back. One last call, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and the big one, follow me on Twitter. You can't get the updated sim results if you don't follow me on Twitter. That would be at Josh Engleman. I'll be live tonight on Live Before Lock. Actually, I'll be live tonight on Live Before Lock. Man, these names are tough to say. And if you're looking for a FanDuel version of this video, you're in luck. It exists. Go click on it, go watch it, watch them both, like them both. It's the best you can do for me, and it should be pretty easy. I assume you guys want this information too. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back for whenever the next normal showdown slate happens in the NFL. I can't keep track of the schedule anymore. They play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. They can be playing every single day of the week. I have no idea, but every time we have a single game, I'm going to be doing that content, so keep your eyes peeled. Good luck tonight. I'll talk to you again tonight Live Before Live.